Boom. Sounded good.
Whoa, hey, big time celebrity birthday today.
Who's that?
Shia LaBeouf, Charlie Conway, Dr. House, Willy Wonka, Lord Tyrion. Like, that's a lot. That's some heavy hitters there.
It's a pretty good day for celebrity birthdays.
A lot of dead people, too.
Should we sing Happy Birthday? Is that still copyrighted?
Ryan. Remember Ryan Dunn from Jackass? His birthday was today.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
And the kid that plays Wyatt from Ozark.
Oh. Well,
big birthday day.
Really
I think we should start every episode now with celebrity birthdays.
I like it.
All right.
And we only sing the high notes of Happy Birthday like Michael Scott.
Welcome to the Average Nobody's podcast for June 11, 2020. That's in the year of our Lord. What have you guys been watching?
So I've been on a big documentary kick. But
shocking.
Yeah, weird. I very rarely do this, but I'm going to start with Space Force, the new Steve Carell Netflix show, which it's actually funny, and this will definitely be for another podcast, but you know that Netflix and like the Space Force creators have trademarked Space Force? Like,
yes,
Donald Trump,
right?
Even though he announced it as like, that we're going to the moon with the Space Force, he never trademarked it, so now he can't use that name anymore, which I find hysterical. Like, I think incredible. The first thing the government would do would be should trademark the name. It'd be like a show that's like the U.S. Air Force. Now the U.S. Air Force can't use the name anymore. But
it's incredible.
I really did like the show because I went in with an open mind that like this isn't going to be Michael Scott, and I think that allowed me to enjoy Steve Carell a lot more. The supporting cast is ridiculous. John Malkovich is really good. I love Ben Schwartz, he was my favorite character as Fuck Tony, which is just a hysterical character name. But I mean, I thought it was a good. Steve Carell's a very good actor, and I thought they used like his ability to kind of play like silly, because he's obviously not, especially at the beginning of the show, the most like up to the task type of guy. Yeah. Like, he's not great at his job. But those type of comedies like The Office and Parks and Rec, I mean, I think, and Veep, like, they really explore like these very, in our eyes, like these very important positions as far as like jobs. Like, you think about like everybody's really good at their jobs, but that's not the case. Most people aren't that good at their jobs, and there's like a lot of humor in that. So I thought it was really good. Like, I hope that Netflix, which they usually, I feel like they must, because it's been like in the top 5 since it came out. So I feel like they will give it a second season, because I think there's a lot more ground they can cover. But I don't think that
if you're Netflix, I don't think you can cancel a Steve Carell led like show after its first season.
Right. And towards the end of the season, though, like, it was like you said, it was really starting to come around with the supporting characters. Like, I liked the scientist, John Malkovich's number 2 guy. I thought he was really funny.
Yeah, he was.
And
funny.
now that like they've got a group of people in space, and the like his helicopter captain's up there, and she's very funny. Like, it's just getting into it. Mm. And like Lisa Kudrow is so funny, but she's obviously she's in prison. Yes. In it. They still haven't said why, though, right?
I don't think they ever will. I think it's going to be one of those things that they don't tell you why.
But I like these little roles. Like for 40 years.
Yeah, right. I like these little roles that Lisa Kudrow has found herself in, like this, and then she was the mom in Booksmart. With her husband was Will Forte. It's so funny. Like, just these little like roles that she's finding. It's so good.
Well, it's funny, in like the first episode, I was telling Holly, I'm like, Lisa Kudrow and Steve Carell, like, what a great like comedic pair for a married couple. And then boom, immediately she goes to prison.
They're not together.
I should have known.
Going back to what you were saying about it, like, I think you're right. I think going into it, you have to expect that it's going to be a different type of comedy than The Office is, than Parks and Rec is, than those type of shows are. It's not like a like a laugh out loud, like jokes funny. It's like some of it's very dark, and it has like that dark humor to it. But then you have like characters like Ben Schwartz, and even like, dare I say, like John Malkovich is his delivery of Joe is very funny. Like he's very funny, and like to have John Malkovich too in this show, I think is great. I'm enjoying it. I'm about halfway through. So I haven't
Their
finished
relationship is very funny. Steve Carell's character and John Malkovich, it's like they're constantly butting heads, but they have each other's backs.
Yeah,
you know.
I love his
they know they're in the ship together.
His undersecretary, who like the mustached guy, whoever that is, he's super funny too. And they were towards the end, the last couple episodes, you could tell they were starting to get their chemistry, and like the conversations, were more free flowing and things like that. Because it's like so rare to just have a show from like scene one just work perfectly. Like that just doesn't happen happens very rarely, especially with a lot of these people. Like you've never seen this type of cast together. Like you're putting Steve Carell with John Malkovich in this type of comedic scene. I mean, it's not just going to work right away. It doesn't happen that way. So but as the season went on, I thought it was really funny. Definitely worth the watch on Netflix, like 100%. It's such an easy binge.
Yep. And I think it's an important show for Netflix. I think it is. I think we all agree that it is working, and I think that it will end up, getting a second season, probably a third and beyond. But it's very important because right now in this time frame, for people are always at home with the quarantine, and then also with Disney Plus really like developing into its own, getting a ton of content. Even like their original stuff is doing really well. And then HBO Max dropping, I think it's very important for Netflix to still stay in the conversation for original programming. So I think this is big for them. And like with big stars, like we were saying.
I agree. And I think that's the one like genre that they haven't necessarily had like a huge hit with yet. Like that type of like sitcom comedy. Like they're very good, I think, at the dramas, like the movies and stuff. But like like that type of half-hour comedy, I can't really think. I mean, maybe I'm missing it, but like a straight up comedy,
like an ensemble cast, comedy,
which I feel like they haven't necessarily had that.
I'm not having, nothing's
like all their like hit
shows. Is that Ashton Kutcher one, Netflix original, The Ranch?
Oh yeah.
Right. I've never seen it, but
it's not good.
Me neither.
Yeah. It's not good at all.
So what else you been watching, Ryan?
So quick, just want to give another shout out. I'm gonna do it every chance I get to What We Do in the Shadows. I'm rewatching it because I finally got Holly to watch something with me, because there is in the Wood Fogarty household there's a rule that has never been broken until now. If Ryan's seen a show first, Holly will not watch it, because I'm just the king of, all right, now watch this part right here. This is going to be a funny part. And then she's done. She won't do it. But I've kept my mouth shut, and she loves it. So it's on Hulu. It's on FX. Actually, the season 2 just wrapped up Wednesday night, last night. So it's just so weird and so original and so funny. So just wanted to shout that out again.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to get into documentary land. So
let's do it.
Today I actually watched Netflix put back on The 13th. I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary. It was made in 2016. So it's all about the 13th Amendment, which was the amendment that abolished slavery. So it was a documentary they put together basically about like the mass incarceration of African Americans, like how it happened over time, starting in like the 1970s. It's very eye-opening, very smart, obviously. It's just like a lot of good knowledge on the subject. So it kind of goes back to when the 13th Amendment was made. It abolished slavery, but it put the provision in there that unless you were a criminal. So like, you couldn't be a slave, you couldn't be arrested by the government unless you were a criminal, which was kind of the loophole that was put in. And now like how basically modern politicians have exploited that to do mass incarcerations. And some of the statistics they have are just absolutely insane. Like in 1970, there was 252,000 prisoners in the United States. And today there's over 2 million. And it's just like steadily risen, regardless of political party, like Republicans, Democrat, and it's just, how they've done it over the past now 50 years. But a really, I think, important documentary to watch, especially in these times with everything happening. So I would definitely recommend that. So it's just called 13th. And then I watched the Bruce Lee 30 for 30, Be Water, which I don't know if you guys caught that. It was on Sunday.
No.
So like
one of the ESPN one?
Yeah, one of the ESPN ones. It was very I thought it was very good, but it was very different with the way it was filmed. So it was audio wise, it was filmed similar to most documentaries where like, you're talking about one subject and then you have people who knew, like in Bruce Lee's case, they had his wife, his children, his friends, film producers and stuff throughout the years talking, but you never saw them. Mm-hmm. So even when they were talking about Bruce Lee, it was all pictures or videos of Bruce Lee throughout the whole thing, and that never changed. But a very interesting life he led, obviously, and I forgot he was so young when he died. He was only 32, and he died of like a brain hemorrhage. Yeah, right after.
I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that he was that young. That's crazy.
He died in 1973. So and it was right before Enter the Dragon came out, which ended up being like his highest grossing movie. But it was really cool, just like because he was actually born in the United States. And then his parents moved him back to Hong Kong, where they were from. And then as he was growing up in Hong Kong, he was like a troubled teen. So they sent him back to the United States to live with family friends. And that's where he started studying like martial arts, all this type of stuff. But like right as he was about to become like a huge star, before his most famous movie got released, he passed away. Which is very sad, but definitely worth the watch. I thought that was very good. And then I watched on Hulu, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia.
No.
I've seen it.
It is insane. So
it's wild.
The Jackass guy, Johnny Knoxville and Jeff Tremaine, are like the producers, the executive producers, and it's about the White family, like that's their last name, and they live in Boone County, West Virginia, and they're just these like rebels, just like exist like almost
real deal outlaws.
Yeah, like outside of society type people, and they followed them around for just a year, and it's actually very, very sad. It's like a humongous tragedy. But it's on Hulu. It's like the 10th anniversary. They re-released it. It all they do is like do drugs and get into trouble, and it's very sad, but it's insane. And like it's impossible to explain, but definitely worth a watch. If you have Hulu, check it out. And it's got like, you can see why Johnny Knoxville and like the Jackass crew was very interested in these people. And they interview like obviously the family, and it's probably like 6 or 8 different family members that they focus on with interviews, but then they go to the extended family as well. But then they interview like the district attorney of the city and like law enforcement and stuff, and they're like, why are you guys focusing, like there's a lot of like good upstanding citizens in the community, like why are you guys focusing on the white family? And they're like, well, but then you watch them, it's like, well, these people are clearly the most interesting. So
yeah, right, makes it for the most interesting.
The woman, if I remember, I saw it, I'm pretty sure I watched it like while we were still at URI, and the woman that like runs the family, like she was a character. She's nuts, right?
Bessie May?
I think so, yeah.
Like the daughter?
Bessie May.
Well, it's funny. One girl.
She seemed like the boss.
Yeah, she was the boss. So she was the daughter. So the father was like a coal miner, and then he was like not tap dancing, but he had like the horseshoes in his. He puts like horseshoes in like the bottom of his shoes and does that type of dancing. It's like
tap dance?
I don't know if it's tap dancing, but he did it to like country music. So like that's how he was actually like a famous guy like in the 60s
like
and 70s.
line dancing maybe?
Kind of, but it's like clearly like the tap. So maybe it is tap dancing, I don't know. But then so they start off the documentary, they're like, and he's D. Ray White. And he was the greatest tap dancer, and they're interviewing the daughter. It's like, my daddy's D. Ray White, and he was a great tap dancer, and got into an argument at a bar and died in a shootout. And then and she just keeps going, and it's like, my brother, he got into an argument with his neighbor with a pit bull, and neighbor came over, shot him, he's dead. And then my other brother, and it's just like they all, like most of them are dead because of just like gun violence or something. It's insane. But yeah, Bessie May is like the daughter. And there's one woman, her name, she's like, my name's Joe B, short for Joe Bob. I'm like, oh boy. Joe Bob. B. That is quite a name. But yeah, it's very like sad in a way, just like seeing what's happened to their family, but it's also very fascinating. It's in a very reality TV type of way.
It sounds like it.
And that's what I've been watching this week.
That is something.
So I'm up to date with South Park.
That's crazy.
And, like,
How much did you watch from last week to catch up?
2 seasons.
That's fucking crazy.
I watched 4 seasons in total.
Like 40 episodes, right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of South Park.
But they were only like half-hour episodes.
Yeah, it goes
20 minutes
quick.
or so.
It goes quick.
So they fly by. But like, again, that show is just so current and so on the money with their takes on what's happening in this country and around the world. It's really impressive what they do, and with all the, everything that's happened in 2020 so far, I'm sure they've got plenty of material for an interesting season 24. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. I also watched Master of None. Watched the whole series.
That's awesome.
All 20 seasons.
That's
and
awesome.
Jen and I
All
loved
2 seasons?
Both seasons.
Not 20.
We loved it. I know. I watched a lot of TV this
So
week.
what season did you like better?
I don't know. I liked them both. Like I can't really pick between the two.
I think there's a divide with Master of None fans.
I like the whole series definitely as a whole, but
Yeah.
I prefer the style that Aziz went with in 2 rather than 1.
I agree.
1 felt very disjointed. 2 felt like a cohesive. Like I like he went for it in 2, and he really he nailed it, and I like that whole cohesive look.
I mean, I would say if you gun to my head, if I have to pick, I'd say season 2, just because I like the pursuit of Francesca, his Italian girl, was better than whatever happened with him and Rachel in season 1. And in the finale, I'm watching it shows canceled, love of his life, going back to Italy, walking down the street all depressed, seeing his posters of his show that's going up in flames. Boom! Ex-girlfriend right in your face with a group of friends. Ugh.
How funny is that show that he hosts, the Cupcake Wars?
I would watch the shit out of that show.
I would watch the shit out of that show, especially with him hosting. It's so funny.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, I would watch a show with Aziz and Bobby Cannavale, traveling the world eating together. That'd be a hell of a show.
I always forget that he's in it. Well, Bobby Cannavale is such a treasure. I love him.
He really is.
He is. But I can't say enough good things about that show. And Ryan, to say as a cohesive unit, I noticed Aziz, basically the directors of season 2 was either Aziz or that guy Eric Wareheim that plays Arnold.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it feels more like one story. The episode where they were barely in it. They were going to the movies, Aziz and Denise and Arnold, not Aziz, what is his character? Dev. They're going to the movies and they're in it for 2 seconds. And then it goes to a doorman's life, and then a cab driver's life, and the deaf girl's life, little pieces of everyone's life that day, and they all happen to be in the same movie theater. That was awesome. And then I love the episode, the Thanksgiving episode, progression through the years.
So good.
That was
Angela
awesome.
Bassett, that was awesome. That was so great.
It felt like they gave him a little more, it was a little more hands off season 2. Let you do your thing, especially letting him and Eric Wareheim direct most of the. Arnold is hysterical.
So funny. Funny.
That Thanksgiving episode.
Little Bud and Big Bud.
Those are weird.
What was I gonna say? So, something I said to Jen, and because there was a scandal, he got accused of, he got looped into that whole. I won't go as far as Harvey Weinstein, but he was involved in that conversation for a while, and that happened after this show, and after the show, I don't know the whole story, obviously, but it just seems like he wouldn't be the type of guy to take advantage of anybody. You know what I mean?
I think it was for him.
Because there's a whole episode about it.
Yeah, it was just one. I think it was just one woman who had come forward, and he came forward with his side of what happened. It was a first date type of thing.
Yeah,
right.
Where I don't, and then he might have been.
He addresses it at the beginning of his most recent stand-up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I like the show so much that I like. What about season 3? Like, I need more. And basically, what I found is like Netflix is ready when he's ready. So
I hope he
so.
does. I hope he does because I can't lose another show like this. Like Louis is done because because
he's never coming back
because of Louis, and
he'll be back on YouTube.
What?
He'll be back on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
But then, the thing with him now is like even if he comes out with like something where someone will stream it, it's just gonna be so bad. He's just gonna pander to all the worst things. Yeah, and it's gonna suck. It's not gonna be funny anymore.
It's really unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that he did that shit, and like now that us as fans can't enjoy his stuff, we can't enjoy any new stuff because it won't be the same as how good it was. We can still enjoy the old show, I guess. If you can separate the art from the person, but. It would be great to have another season of Master of None. I have season 2 on vinyl, the soundtrack. It is one of my most played vinyls. It's like that and the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 vinyl that I have are the 2 most played. It's absolutely an incredible collection of songs.
It is.
So I also finished Riverdale season 4, and I was texting Matt about it, and like, you know how I was sort of bitching about it the first half of the season, like what the hell are they doing? Well, it really came around the second half of the season, so now I can't wait for season 5. Like
I can't believe
just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
When you thought I was out, they pulled me back in. I can't believe they got you.
That show will benefit so much from the time jump. I feel like I've said this 1,000 times, and like they really need to chop down the amount of episodes. Do 10 episodes, not 19, because it felt like the first, or make it 2 seasons, because the first half of the season was all like. This bullshit that they were clashing with. Jughead was at a new school, and they were clashing with the kids at that school, but then, like, the second half of the season was, something juicier. You know what I mean? Like a mystery, or, you know what I mean? Something that we're used to from the first 3 seasons, and then just when it's getting into the thick of it, boom, end of the season. Yeah. So, I need more. I caught up on Atlanta, so I watched season 1 when it came out, and I just watched season 2. Very similar to Master of None, but with its own, style. Like, whereas Aziz's show is about, being Indian in America. This one is more about like, what's it like being black in Atlanta, and it follows Donald Glover, who plays he's a rap manager, and he manages his cousin, and one of his cousin's friends is around all the time, and it's played by Lakeith Stanfield, and he is just like a space shot. He is out there, and it's so funny. And actually, you get pieces of Donald Glover's baby's mama. She gets her own episodes, and that's Zazie Beetz, and she's so good in the show too. And I really like the show. I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I don't get, but it's really like it's interesting to see like that life and put a funny twist on it for television. I'm a big fan of that show. And the guy that plays the rapper, his facial expressions are so good. Because he's not famous, but he's like locally famous. You know what I mean? He's a locally famous rapper in Atlanta, greater Atlanta. So he gets recognized, but it's not like he's, T.I. or something. Yeah. And people, like, the first thing that people say whenever they see him, they're like, "Are you Paperboy?" And he goes, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "Oh, you got to put me on, man!" Like everybody wants to hop on his coattails, and you can see in his face, like, "Come on, like I don't want this." He's really good. Brian Tyree Henry, I think is his name, or Brian Henry Tyree, something like that.
He's in Hotel good. Artemis.
Oh, okay, cool.
Him and the guy from This Is Us are brothers. What's his name?
I've never seen This Is Us.
What's his name? He's in. It's gonna piss me off.
He's in Black Panther.
He's in Black Panther. I forget. He's in the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like he's the dentist that kills.
Yeah, why can't I think of his name?
Why can't I think of his name? He's a very famous actor.
Oh, Sterling
K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown. Yep.
Yeah. So
that's his brother
in Hotel Artemis.
Oh.
Not in real life.
Real life.
Oh,
real life.
Okay.
And he's in something else too. Well, that guy. He's in a lot of things now.
Yeah. I also watched Ready or Not on HBO.
Yeah.
So good. Surprising, like no expectations, but so good. Very pretty original movie, I guess, but so simple, but so so good. The cast was all good, and it wasn't like, I don't know. It was like you guys went to go see that like on a whim in the theaters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at a time when there was nothing. We wanted to go see a movie, and there was really nothing else that would like take precedent over something like this. Usually, this would just, if it was during blockbuster season, it would have fell through the cracks. But we went to go see it, and honestly, blew me away. I thought it was so funny, so good. Right, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was the same thing though. It was like zero, and I think because you went in with zero expectations, it made it that much better.
Made it better.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hadn't even seen the trailer.
I even feel bad like wording it like that, because I honestly think that if I had watched this with higher expectations, it still would have impressed me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, but you get what we're saying. The guy who's married into the family, he's like a brother-in-law. The guy who grabs the crossbow. And he goes, the first thing, like, he's so gung-ho, like, not gung-ho about it, but, like, he's going right along with it. And then he goes in the bathroom and he's sitting on the toilet and he's looking up directions on how to use the crossbow. I thought that was so funny. I thought that was so good. Oh.
It even though there was, like, a supernatural element to it, like, it was still super, super grounded. You know what I mean? You didn't know if there was a supernatural element to
I
it
love
or
that.
not.
Yeah, I love that they, like, you know, spoiler alert, but, like, they trigger that at the end, and you're kind of, the whole movie, you're kind of like, you know, is it or isn't it? But that was great. And, like, the set pieces were great. That fucking house was awesome. I love the Clue,
amazing house.
The Clue-esque house and, like, that kind of stuff.
I loved how it ended too, like the same way it started, with her like smoking a cigarette in her dress.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like perfect to like tie everything back together. But I was like, I wonder if she gets all the family's money now. She's the only one left.
Yeah, right. And they're married, right?
Yeah,
they're officially married. Yeah.
I really liked what's his name in that.
Adam Brody.
Yes, he was really good.
He was good. He was a good character.
He always sneaks in. He always plays a good role.
He really does.
He does. And last but not least, I finally watched Parasite. Watched it by myself. Movie was so good. I wish somebody didn't spoil it for me on our previous podcast.
Did I do that?
No, it was Ryan. Ryan mentioned something about a guy living in a basement. But so like I had that in the back of my head the whole time, but like I didn't know like how it was going to play into it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I saw memes and it was like it's like the My Plans, and it was the family like living it up, and then 2020 was the old woman standing in the rain. You know what I mean? Like that.
It won Best Picture. It's not my fault if you haven't seen it.
It's okay. I still enjoyed it. I didn't know how it was going to affect the movie.
Doesn't affect it.
I really thought it was great. I could definitely see, you know, how it got. It was super original. I could definitely see why it won. Like I can't. I might go ahead and rant 1917 because that seems like, you know, according to word of mouth, that one came the closest. So I'm interested to stack those two up next to each other. But
1917 was great.
Yeah,
right.
It was really good.
But from what I saw in Parasite, I can definitely see why it won. It was great.
Anybody that has an issue with Parasite winning Best Picture just has a chip on their shoulder with like foreign movies. Like that's the only that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
Like, God forbid you have to read subtitles, because honestly, I believe this. I think it would pass the test where if you didn't have subtitles on it, you could still understand what was going on.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I think you could watch it as a silent movie, and I think it would work just fine. The birthday party scene at the end is one of the like craziest culminations of storylines that I've ever witnessed. Like the fucking like the
so many things happening.
So many things happening and so many things boiling over. Like the dad finally being like sick of the guy he drives for, and just fucking like that was wild. That was
I did not see that coming.
No, definitely not. Great. I'm glad you watched it. I love that.
I liked like the last thing is too. I'm a big fan of getting the the happy ending at the end, and when even though like it sort of flashes forward to the son like buying the house, but then it flashes back to like him writing the letter to his dad or something like that.
It's kind of like happening at the same time, right? I haven't seen it since it came out, but it's like he's writing it and it's happening at the same time. Like he goes to flash forward.
Yeah, you get that closure at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like getting the closure at the end of a movie. So, big movie and show week for Uncle Adam.
That's awesome.
I don't know what I got on tap for next week. We'll see.
Well, Adam,
Yeah.
if you watch 1917, the spoiler alert: the United States won World War One. Just want to.
Oh, thanks, Ryan.
Let you know.
Yeah, 1917 is fantastic. So fucking like the scope of that movie, the way they did it is fucking incredible.
It's still like that. Like watching movies like 1917, like as much as I love movies and like would want to be a part of making a movie, I could never make. Like how do you like?
I don't even know how you begin to plan for that. Like
Yeah,
that and like whenever you see a movie like 1917 are the movies that when you start thinking about, oh yeah, I could just have all these movies come straight to my TV at home. It's like no. 1917 is the movie where you think like, no, I need to be in a theater to see this.
Yeah.
Like this is
Right.
of course, Adam, you'll still get a lot out of it watching it at home, but seeing it in the theater, it's like this was meant to be seen on the big screen. It's just
Right.
So anyway, I've been watching. So I started Waco last night. I'll just quickly touch on that. Did either of you guys watch Waco?
No, it's on the list.
No,
It's-
I think it's pronounced wacko.
Is it Waco? I gotta be honest. Every time I click on it, I'm like Waco, and I click play episode.
It's from The Office
Oh yeah,
with Aaron. I think it's pronounced wacko.
So it's so far it's so good. I think I'm only through like an episode and a half. So that's that. And then I watched some movies. I watched 2 Scott Conn movies because I felt like I was in a Scott Conn mood. So number 1, I watched Into the Blue, which is not really a Scott Conn movie. It's more of a Paul Walker, Jessica Alba movie, but still, you know. Yeah. Rest in peace, Paul. Into the Blue is so good and just a shameless promotion of Jessica Alba's body. That's all it is. I mean, and honestly, Paul Walker too. All it is shots of them swimming around like in great shape in their bathing suits and bikinis. Like, it's like come on, it's Scott Conn too. Great movie, just like a lot of fun. And then I watched Gone in 60 Seconds, which is one of the best movies. It's so good. I truly love Nick Cage. Like, it's not even a like, you know, like a funny like, oh yeah, I love Nick Cage. Like, I truly do love his movies.
It's not like
and
a
Gone in 60
sarcastic thing.
Seconds,
It's like real.
yeah, it's real. Yeah, it's not irony. It's real. Gone in 60 Seconds is one of his best. It's hard to argue it. It's so good, and with a fucking crazy cast of characters. You have Nick Cage, you have Angelina Jolie, you have Scott Conn, you have Giovanni Ribisi, you have Robert Duvall, you have Bill Patton, you have who else is in it? Well, Sphinx is not really
Ving
a known
Rhames, is he in it?
actor. Vin Rhames not in it. No, but it's I know you're thinking of the cop, and I forget his name. He's a very famous actor. He's been in a ton of shit. And then Timothy Olyphant is the other cop.
Delroy Lindo is
Yes.
Timothy Olyphant's
The cop, his partner. Yeah. And then Timothy Olyphant. It's fucking incredible. And plus the other, like, you know, cast that, like, in the 90s, like, late 90s, early 2000s, these guys were in a lot of movies, like, here and there.
Yeah.
Hey,
but just like
the guy that plays Raymond Calitri's in a lot of stuff, too. He was Christopher Eccleston. He was the bad guy in Thor 2. He was Doctor Who for a while.
Yes,
He was,
Leftovers.
he's the priest in the Leftovers. Like, stacked cast.
And also Raymond Calitri, his backstory as a villain is one of my favorites. Gone in 60 Seconds is one of those. It should have been an 80s action movie because it's one of those movies where like the characters don't make sense if you look outside of like what they're showing on screen. Raymond Calitri is this bad guy. Bill Patton describes him as the devil comes down to Long Beach type character. He just works at the docks and exports stolen cars. His gimmick is that he's called the Carpenter. They call him the Carpenter. And he makes fine wooden things. That's why they call him the Carpenter, because he makes things out of wood. And one of the big, oh, fuck, this is a bad man moments is when he shows a freshly made casket to Memphis Reigns, Nick Cage's character, saying that he's going to bury his brother in it, which is just a fucking, honestly, a power move, but so incredibly insane as a villain. Like, how do you have the time to make these fine wood objects while you're, like, shipping out stolen cars and you're just working down at the docks in Long Beach? It's just... He's a very strange villain, but it's perfect 80s action movie villain. Memphis Reigns is one of the best characters names in movie history. Yes. Memphis Reigns.
That's why I was thinking of Ving Rhames, I think.
Yeah, maybe. And then his real name is Randall Reigns. The cops call him Randall. Everybody else calls him Memphis. It's incredible. Yeah. It's just, and his brother's name is Kip.
I love Giovanni Ribisi. Like, I've never seen him like come on the screen and like not be happy. He's just always, whatever role he's in, it works. Yeah. Like we rewatch Friends like every other week, and him as Phoebe's brother, he's just like so off the wall, but it works. Like, he's just good in everything he does. I love, and Ted, obviously, he's fantastic.
It's such a weirdo in Ted. Yeah. He's just like, he's pitch perfect in Gone in 60 Seconds. He plays the younger brother who fucks up, and his big brother has to come back. It's that era of movies where cars were still like all different cars were all very unique to themselves. Now all cars look the same, new cars. Mm-hmm. But at the time, with like Fast and Furious and all those times, I will stand by it that was a huge movement that has like continued on, well into 20-teens and 2020s, that like cars were huge, and in this movie they just show off all these fucking ridiculously fancy cars being stolen. It was just such a good movie, and what a premise. He has to steal 50 cars in one night to save his brother's life. Like, fucking book it. Like,
quite a ransom.
I was thinking about it too while I was watching it. This is the perfect movie that in like 20 years or maybe less than that, we're gonna get a remake of it. It's gonna be a totally new cast, and it's gonna rock the house. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Hopefully they keep it tied to the original. Like, like they're still stealing cars, not like Point Break, the remake where it's like fucking has nothing to do with surfing.
Has nothing to do with just they use the same character names.
Right. So anyway, Gone 60 Seconds fucking crazy. So Scott Con weekend. A week, and then Space Force. That's about besides our movie for this week, which was that. That's all I've been watching. Lots of movies.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You want to get
so now in movie news, well, I guess very modern timed movie news. So depending on when you're listening or watching to this, June 12th is a semi big day for movies, at least in, I feel like, our movies that we may want to see. So on Netflix, June 12th, Da 5 Bloods, which is Spike Lee's Vietnam War movie, is going to be premiering, which I'm very excited about. I think it's got a great cast, and after Black Klansman, I'm on the Spike Lee train. I've always been, I feel like, on the Spike Lee train. He really hasn't necessarily made a bad movie, but Black Klansman was like him at the top of his game. So if he's going to follow it up with this movie, I think it's going to be really good. And then The King of Staten Island is going to be available on demand. So if you go on their website for the movie, you can pretty much watch it anywhere. Like, you can rent it on Amazon Prime. It's going to be rentable on YouTube, on Apple TV, and you can watch it like through your cable provider as well. But the reviews for The King of Staten Island have been really good. Barstool, their Lights Camera Action Pod just reviewed it. Yeah. And Jeff Lowe gave it 92%.
That's really good. Yeah. It looks very good, and everybody's saying it's his best movie since. I think it's one of his best movies. No, I forget what the quote was. Maybe This Is 40, or what's the other one?
No,
Knocked Up.
Knocked Up.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like a cool story, and I mean, Pete Davidson, he's got to have something. Like. You can't have all these people...
Can't be famous and not good at anything.
But, like, why is, like, Lorne Michaels believing him? Why is John Mulaney believing him? Why, like, he has to have something that people much more talented than us are seeing. So maybe it's this type of acting. He's playing himself.
Maybe he'll excel in that. Like, I was talking to... I don't know if I was talking to you guys or Jen about it, but, like, Adam Sandler is so good at being just a regular guy in his movies.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe that's what his... That's what his niche is. But then again, Adam Sandler was also the fucking king of Saturday Night Live. He was so good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's tough to compare anybody to him.
That long. If you look back,
yeah, but when he was on it, he was good. Like, he could speak in complete sentences. and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's Adam Sandler is such a unique talent because he's musically talented, and then like you said, Adam, he plays like a normal guy in all his movies so well. Like,
But he's also good at characters too.
Yeah.
Like Waterboy.
Waterboy.
Like
He hasn't done one of those characters in a long time, mostly because that shit probably wouldn't play in 2020.
No.
Definitely not the Waterboy.
And I don't think he could do it either. Like, he could do it when he was younger, but, like, if you know he's in his 50s and he's doing it, it's like, oh.
Waterboy too.
Oh, I would watch the shit
Oh my
out
god.
of that.
No, I stand by a Big Daddy too with him and Cole Sprouse. And
Get Jon Stewart back in there.
back. That would be so good.
Cole Sprouse is such a huge star. I've said this a million
Huge
times,
star.
but when I did Awesome Con in DC, his booth had the longest line of any celebrity that was there.
Oh
It
yeah,
was huge.
I believe it.
It was huge.
And
So
Yeah.
I get like, you know, I told you guys I get an uncomfortable amount of updates on Ben Affleck and his family. I also get an uncomfortable amount of updates on like the entire Riverdale cast's personal lives.
Oh,
I feel like I'm one of them.
Everything all right?
Everything is fine.
That doesn't seem like it.
and The Five Bloods looks awesome. We already talked about that, but I'll probably have both of these watched by the time next podcast comes around. So maybe.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
talk about
I'm
that.
watching both this weekend. So.
Definitely King of
You know what
Staten
movie-
Island. I'm watching that right away.
No business.
You know what movie I'm interested in actually? It's with Pete Davidson. It's the Hulu movie, Big Time Adolescence.
Me too, yeah.
Oh,
I kind of want to see that.
I didn't see that.
Kind of
trailer.
want to see it.
Because he plays like an older brother or like an older, like mentor
Like,
type. He's
yeah,
not the main.
so, like
he's not the main character, but
No, it's a kid, and I'm guessing he doesn't have a lot of friends, but he becomes friends with Pete Davidson, who is older, and the kid looks up to him, and I don't know. I'm interested. I want to see it.
yeah,
So might pop that on after we hop off tonight.
nice. Yeah.
And then the next thing, I guess we'll split into two parts. So, Live PD and Cops both canceled now.
Yes.
No longer shows. Live PD is the biggest show on A&E. It's the most popular show on A&E.
And Cops is like one of the biggest shows of all time.
One of the longest running shows.
33
huge.
seasons, I think.
It's
33
fucking
years
crazy.
or something.
It's crazy. So what do you got? As far as I was very when I was talking about this with Joe and Mark last night actually, and I was like confused because Live PD felt like it's very real because it is. It's it's people out on patrols with cops. I mean, I don't understand why you would want to get rid of that because that could be a way to like educate people on, because after all of the protests and everything, there has to be a change with how policing is done. And I think that would be a great show to educate the public on what changes are being made and what is being worked on within police departments. I think that would be great. So maybe it comes back as something different, but I think it's a weird move for it to, not a weird move, but I think it's strange that it was just totally canned, like not modified at all. It's a sensitive subject right now, but Live PD is like, you can't miss anything. It's right there in front of you. It's the real world, and it's like some of it can be hard to swallow, but that is what's real. Is Live PD.
Right.
So it did for Live PD. It was in Texas that it came out that someone who died in police custody, Live PD had footage of it and they destroyed it.
Oh well, there you go.
I think that once that came out, like if you do that once, chances are they've probably done it.
You've done it
multiple
definitely,
times.
yeah. So,
but
I
I
didn't
agree
realize
with you.
that.
I mean, if I think they had to cancel it after that came out, but if you can pivot to something that is more giving you like an inside look, there's a documentary I watched a couple months ago on the Flint, Michigan Police Department, and like everything that they're going through with their community, with like the clean water crisis, and it was like eye-opening, like just how they're trying to stay connected to the community. And I know I think the most popular like video during all these protests, it was the Flint police captain, and he came out and like pushed his guys back and was like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
and he's like, we want to be a community here. So I think something like that showing, because you log onto Twitter, all you're going to see is police spraying people with pepper spray and police shooting tear gas at protesters or looting or rioting. But if you can have a show that focuses more on like how the police are getting involved in the community and how they're trying to, make that work, I think that would be a great idea. So if you can use what they've done with Live PD and, put that into town council meetings or, whatever it may be in towns all across the country, I agree. I think that would be a great idea. But I think once that came out about Live PD, they didn't.
I didn't realize that. That's you can't have that. That's that's
totally
the opposite of what you want to happen.
Right.
I mean, if the show is it does the truthful thing and just does whatever's, it does live, it doesn't edit, it doesn't take things out, then it can be a useful tool for people. But if you're cutting footage out, then what the fuck's the point of even calling it Live PD?
I'll just go on Facebook and watch someone else's video.
Yeah.
I get why they're being pulled, but I mean, Cops. There's no better show to just pop on than Cops.
Yeah, you're right. It's so entertaining.
And just pop it on,
and you don't really necessarily want to
5-minute segments. You don't miss anything.
No,
you know what I mean. You're not. There's no running storyline.
Yeah.
So
and nothing's one-sided like ever in this country, so you can't necessarily just cater to. Not necessarily cater to the protests, but you know what I mean. Like you can't just like shut down everything that has already existed.
Yeah. Like
there needs to be like, all right, look, this exists. But I think they were trying to, when they got rid of Live PD and Cops, like not necessarily Cops forever have just been shown as, they're always portrayed as like the heroes in the situation, which they are. I mean, obviously you put your life on the line every time you go on duty, but I think they were trying to, I don't know. I hate that. That's just such a fine line. Because now you shut down that, then what's the next thing that people are going to be upset about?
Paw Patrol, apparently. Paw Patrol is the next thing. Did you see that?
No, but you know what I mean? Like, enough people get angry about stuff, and now you're not going to be able to watch anything except one specific, or, all right, let's just have this desensitized. Like, that's, unfortunately, I don't see how taking Cops off the air is going to solve anything.
I don't think it solves anything, but I think that I don't think that it solves anything, but I understand where the people are coming from that are calling for its removal. The feeling that they're coming from is that cops are portrayed as like gods. They're in movies, like they're heroes, they're all this, which they, I mean, in a lot of cases, cops are heroes. Like, let's not get it twisted. But there's a lot of things where like they can do whatever they want. I mean, I just watched Dirty Harry a few weeks ago. Dirty Harry is an insane movie in 2020 to watch. Like Dirty, like.
Well, you're rooting for the cop, right? Because you're like, it's ingrained in you to be like, yeah, bust that guy.
You're definitely rooting for the cop, and he's running around shooting people in the street, mostly people of color. This is what that's what it is. It's it's tough. And after I read this, and I thought that you put it on the news list for the podcast, I looked up other shows, and so. Someone is calling for Paw Patrol, which is an animated kids show. I don't know if that's true, but apparently it's out there in the ether now. People are calling for it to be canceled. The other thing I looked at was Quibi is that news service that has short 10-minute episodes shows. They got the rights to Reno 911, and they are doing a new version of Reno 911. Reno 911 was hilarious. I love Reno 911. Amazing show. Total cop satire. So I'm curious. Yeah. No one's saying anything about it yet, but I'm curious to see where that falls under, like, is this okay because it's parody? Does it fall under the, this is still not great? But, I mean, the cops in that show are a very diverse crew. And I think it would be interesting. Like, that might be okay because it's comedy. I don't know.
And it's satire,
Yeah. I think satire is where it is because they also, like, that show portrays cops fucking up more than any other cop show.
They're not necessarily the heroes of the show.
No, definitely not. They're definitely not the heroes.
No.
So I thought that was interesting, but they haven't said anything about it yet. So.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And then they're also sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
So in HBO Max has removed Gone with the Wind. Mm-hmm. Which that kind of bothers me.
It does. My knee-jerk reaction is that it does bother me that they're removing it. They are putting it back.
Yeah,
they are. They're putting it back.
Disclaimer.
Right, with a disclaimer that, like, you know, I don't think you need the disclaimer. I think HBO did it because it's gonna appease a lot of people for sure. The views in the movie are definitely fucked up because when it was made, like, totally fucked. But also Hattie McDaniel, who played the slave in that movie, one of the slaves, she won an Oscar for that. Do you think that Hattie McDaniel would want her, like, Oscar-winning movie wiped from people being able to see her?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
It's like one of the most famous movies of all time.
The highest grossing movie of all time. You know, with inflation. The highest grossing.
Holy shit! It's 4 hours long. No wonder why I've never seen it.
Yeah, listen. I'm not going to sit here and defend Gone with the Wind. No. I tried watching it one time. It's fucking terrible. Like, as far as today's standards movies, like, I'm sure it has a place in history, but just like Citizen Kane, I couldn't give a fuck.
No.
Do they jump a car through multiple buildings?
They definitely do not. Is Vin Diesel in it? No, he definitely is not. I'm not interested.
There's no, like, metal spacesuits or anything. It's just not.
Yeah.
But I just think, I don't know. I just think, like, erasing that from history, you know, I believe in, like, giving people the benefit of the doubt, like, being smart enough to, like, be able to watch that and realize that it's wrong.
Yes.
Because I think removing it is they're worried about people watching it and being like, yeah, this is how it should be. Like, the Confederacy should have won.
Right.
But, people should be smart enough, which is obviously what they made it for. Like, it painted the Confederacy in a very positive light. And you know, everything that happened, you know, pre-Civil War, even though it was post-Civil War, but I don't know. Like, erasing it from history, I don't think is the answer. Because now you're just going to anger people who are already upset.
Yeah,
and you're gonna give them more. You're gonna give them more ammo.
And to parallel this with, I see a lot of people, like, comparing it to, like, the reason why, like, NASCAR got rid of the Confederate flag and all of that. I don't think it runs parallel. I think it's different.
Yeah.
First of all, the Confederate flag and people ripping down the statues of Confederate generals and things like that. I always thought that the statues of Confederate generals was a weird thing. Like, there's no statues of Hitler in Germany. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? Like,
you lost.
It's very strange.
You
also,
lost.
Also,
your
the thing
statue gets taken down.
Right? Yeah, you're done. Like, the winners write history, and so you're done. The Confederate flag is such an odd thing too, because the Confederate flag was around for, like, it was in prominence for like 4 years, and then that was it. I mean, presidents served longer terms than the Confederate flag was around for. So people that are fucking screaming and yelling, "It's my history, it's my history," it's like, dude, it was 4 fucking years. You do a lot more stupid shit for 4 years.
And then you lost.
Right? Yeah, then it's gone.
Get rid of it.
So, like, fucking take it easy. If they don't allow this fucking shitty ass flag at NASCAR events, take it easy, man.
And it's probably the same people who are, like, getting mad that kids get participation trophies now. It's like, well, that's your participation trophy. You participated, you lost, so now we take it away.
And I'll be first to admit, like, I like when I was in high school, when I was a lifeguard, I had a Confederate flag beach towel. It wasn't a great look. I'll say it now. I've grown as a person.
But now if you have it, I think it strikes a different chord. Like, you're doing it purposely to anger people.
Yeah, and I was a very stupid kid, and, like, I didn't know, like, kids are stupid.
There's wrestlers who used to come out, like, the Fabulous Freebirds. They used to come out, like, he used to have, like, a flag draped in it, and Leonard Skinner was the music, and I mean, that, you know, that, it was a different, like, time, and that's how, you know,
it's time to let it go.
They were the bad guys, but I agree. It's time to move.
It's time to let it go, yeah, definitely. I am glad that they're not totally removing it. I think that would be the wrong move. I don't think you can do that, and, like, it was, you know, it was made at the time, and it is and what it is.
And that should show you, like, the progress that we're trying to make. Like, this is what was okay back in, you know, now if they come out with Gone with the Wind in 2020, like, that's a different story.
I'm curious to see what the disclaimer is, because I think they can really nail it. I also think they can make it sound very pandering, just like this fucking video that celebrities are jumping in on, the "I Take Responsibility" video I was telling you guys about before. And unfortunately, our boy Aaron Paul is part of it too. It's just fucking embarrassing, honestly. It's like, you can help in so many other ways. That's not helpful. It's not. It's the same thing as they did the "We Are the World" fucking song at the beginning of coronavirus, like you were saying, Ryan.
Because the thing is, you're actors. So why am I taking you seriously?
You have way more power than any of all of us have combined.
Right.
You can actually make good and do good. Instead, you fucking record a stupid video on your phone and fucking, like, put it in. It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I hate it.
It's just fucking stupid. So like I said, so HBO can do good and come out with a good message and explain, like you were saying, Ryan and Adam, like you guys were both saying, like this is like how we've grown as a culture and as a filmmaking community. And here's how we this is not great, and this is how we've grown. Or you can make it pandering, where you can sing a song before. Maybe they'll just play the I take responsibility video for Gone with the Wind when I don't watch it ever again, because I've never fucking watched Gone with the Wind. I don't care.
No.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I'm not gonna fake fight for Gone with the Wind because I think it's a fucking great movie. I don't. I just think that it's a piece of movie history, and I think that it should be viewed. If someone wants to watch it, I think you should be able to watch it. It's not being forced down anybody's throat like these Confederate statues are.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Slave owner statues in the middle of the square. So, no, that's what I had today. All right, so Adam, you have anything else you want to add, or Ryan?
I've got nothing I want to add. I'm ready to talk about the French Connection.
I'm so excited. So French Connection
Popeye.
that we picked out for this week's movie club movie. Did you guys enjoy it?
Yes. I thought it was all right.
Thought it was all right.
I enjoyed it.
I definitely enjoyed it. I think it definitely shows its age. It won the Best Picture, but I definitely think it shows its age as like, it was pretty good. But there's some there's some fantastic.
That movie won Best Picture.
Yes, right? Didn't it?
Oh.
And Gene Hackman won Best Actor too, which is strange
Oh,
because Jimmy Doyle wasn't a particularly standout character. He was good.
No.
He's very.
He didn't do any groundbreaking detective work. He just tailed people and did stakeouts.
Hell of a cardio routine, though.
Oh my god, that he was.
Yeah,
running.
Best Picture.
Yeah, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so Gene Hackman's character, Jimmy Doyle, that guy could fucking run. He was running all over the place. It was wild, and not in running shoes either, and probably in his loafers. And so, first of all, I got two things I want to talk about. The car chase scene was awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Where he's chasing the train underneath the tracks.
Yes.
I thought that was great. And his showdown where he shot the guy in the back when he went to go run.
Yeah.
Come on, man. There were so many parts I was just like, ugh. Oh. Just don't ring well with the times now.
Yeah.
But then I texted Matt about this. Ryan, do you remember the part where they're pulling apart the car? Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know this car is dirty. I know it is. Let's pull it apart. They're pulling the fucking rugs up in the car. They're ripping the seats apart.
The
They're
dashboard.
pulling the dash off. They're going the whole nine on this thing. They took the fucking tires off of the rims.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there. They're kicking themselves like, I can't believe it. We weighed the car, and it's higher than the factory weight. Where is that weight? And the mechanic is like, I don't know what to tell you, Jimmy. I pulled this whole car apart, except for this one part that's really easy to stash drugs in.
That little liner when you get in the car.
Yeah. that was the part I had a little gripe with. But, pull the car apart and give us the drugs. We don't need that pause. You know what I mean? Why can't the guy that works in the shop be able to do his job, too, without somebody holding his hand? But it sounds like I'm bitching. But I thought it was a cool movie. I thought it was a good movie.
Brody, not Brody. God, that's his name in jail. Buddy. Roy, what is his name? How do you say his last name? Scheider?
Looks like Schneider, but there's no N.
I thought they were good as partners. I thought they were. And Gene Hackman were really good as partners.
I thought they were good. We talked about it briefly, Matt, but they didn't do anything else but police work.
No, they're they what do these guys do other than police work? They don't. They just
not even stop at the precinct. Gene Hackman was at the precinct. They were there for 2 seconds, and then Roy Scheider's character walks out, and then they go back to the bar and do more undercover police work. I don't know if they had badges. I don't know if they were actually.
They
cops.
didn't. I don't remember seeing a badge ever.
They
I was
did.
thinking that after the first season, at the first scene, are these guys fucking cops? What are they doing?
The only time that I saw a badge, at least for Jimmy, when Jimmy Doyle pulls out his badge to hijack the car at the end of the movie, the Pines.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
Police
only
emergency.
time I saw his badge. Was that the
Which
only,
is kind of crazy that, like, is that a real thing? Police emergency? Like, because that happens all the time in movies.
I don't. You're right. I don't know. Like, I don't know if... I think if a cop ran up to my car with his badge and gun out and said, take your car, I'm not going to, like, fight it. Like, I'm definitely not going to fight it.
I'm not going to stop if I don't have to. Like, if I'm in...
No, a couple cars zoomed right by him.
Yeah.
You saw it. Like, a couple cars flew right by him. Didn't bother to stop.
I thought about this before. Like, my... where I have trouble with this whole... Stop the police, I need your vehicle. How do I get it back? You know what I mean?
You don't.
Every single time it gets smashed up and destroyed.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, like, I think about that and like, all right, but I'm coming with you. Like, I'm getting my fucking car out of here. You're responsible for what happens to it, but I'm coming with you.
Unless I just bought a new car off the lot that I love, I don't care. Like, they could take my Prius right now, and I wouldn't care because you know what? If they fucking smash it up, guess what? The cops are buying me the city's buying me a new car. So that's fine with me. I don't give a fuck. I have no allegiance to my Prius outside. You hear that? You hear that, Prius?
What the hell? I did like that. I feel like if any version of this movie was made now, Gene Hackman would have had either a wife at home or some type of love interest or something that made him vulnerable. He had nothing that made him vulnerable. He was just
he was a cop.
He was
Adam, was it you? Adam, was it you that was saying you love like the singular focus, or was that you, Ryan?
That was me. Where it was just like from the first scene to the last scene, it was just about catching this very specific drug.
It was about getting the French about figuring out who the French connection is bringing drugs into the United States.
I love that. There was not one scene that wasn't dedicated to that.
Okay.
I love that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I thought. Sorry, I thought that Adam had said it, but yeah, we were talking about it yesterday. The car chase. So, still to this day, one of the most expensive car chases, but not for the reasons you might think. A lot of the scenes shot for the car chase were not sanctioned by the city of New York City.
Yes.
Oh.
They were just Gene Hackman in a lot of scenes, just running down trash cans and over sidewalks as crew, like very rudimentary. Is that the fucking right word? Am I not saying that? Like just blocked off streets, like very like crude, just like standing there blocking off streets.
That's awesome.
And they had extra cars, of course, in some of the scenes where they did it, but they did a lot of shoots where they just had Gene Hackman fucking tearing up the streets and his stunt driver. When Gene Hackman first steals the car, did you guys notice that it was definitely Gene Hackman that gets in the car and he fucking whips that thing around?
Oh, yeah.
And goes up on the sidewalk and then back into the street. That was Gene Hackman doing that. I wonder how many takes that took, honestly. Like, how many backup cars did they have? Because he couldn't have smashed it up. He could have easily hit the L train's pillar. He just fucking whipped right around it in another car and fucking took off.
Because I read that they had like a 5-block section, like the NYPD and like the associate producers had a 5-block section blocked off, but they went way outside of that.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
During the scene,
so funny.
So they had a camera like on his dashboard for like the shots facing Hackman, and then the close-ups with him behind him was the director in the car, because I guess like all the other like assistant directors or whatever had like white wives or kids, and it was just so like unrehearsed that he was like a single guy, the director. So he's like, yeah, I'll go in there just in case something happens. And one of the cars he hits was like not part of the movie. He just went off of one of the unblocked off streets and just hit a guy on his way to work.
Some of the shots are incredible, even for a stunt driver, because there's one of them where the car comes. I don't think it was, you have to talk to somebody who was on set, but the camera is on the sidewalk, and the car is coming towards you and turning to the left, like off camera left. And the car just overshoots the turn and slams into the wall right next to the camera so fast that the camera can't even keep up with where it's moving, because it definitely wasn't supposed to be following it.
In 1970, there's no airbags, like right, or like not at least advanced airbags.
No, definitely not advanced airbags, and definitely I don't think that airbags came standard until later in the 70s.
I feel like seatbelts were probably frowned upon too back then.
Yeah, seatbelts weren't.
Put your hand over.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right. You just put the mom hand.
Yeah.
And Hackman's stunt driver was the same guy who was the guy who dueled Steve McQueen in Bullet.
That's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that scene is just so, and like to do it like on different levels, like you got the train going, and I don't know, it was placed perfectly in the movie too. Where I feel like a lot of movies now will like blow their load early. It's like, oh, we're gonna give you this crazy car chase scene in the first 10 minutes, and then you have dialogue heavy scenes and stuff. But it was like placed perfectly in that movie, like right towards the climax.
Yeah, if you look at Fast and Furious, every single Fast and Furious movie has a cold open that's this insane race scene. I mean, every movie. Tokyo Drift has it where he fucks up the fucking where all the new houses are being built. The first movie has it. Too Fast, Too Furious, they all have it. But you're right, it came at the perfect time. And the juxtaposition between, when you say car chase, you assume it's a car chasing another car. This is a very cool thing where it was an elevated train and Gene Hackman trying to keep up with it. And this guy this psychopath who took over the train and killed everybody, was killing all the people on the train. If you guys notice, either you guys watch Scrubs or have watched Scrubs?
No.
The cop that he shoots. Wait, am I thinking of another movie? Fuck.
Where the cop, when he's like in the conductor's station, that cop that approaches him?
I'm thinking of a totally different movie. What the fuck movie am I
was going to say, that was 1971.
Yeah, that's why I just said, what the fuck movie was I just watching? Maybe it was Heat. And the janitor from Scrubs is in Heat, and he's on a subway train to get shot. I think that's what it was. Anyway, forget me. So I thought the juxtaposition of the chasing is so good. From the ground to, it's chasing the train. Very, very good. And then the end, too. Like, the end part when Gene Hackman chases the French guy who evaded him on the train earlier in the day.
Yep.
And then he just gets away, and you can tell that Gene Hackman's kind of losing his mind. Like he shot the other detective, right? The other cop, killed him. Didn't even care. Just kept moving. Didn't care. Singular focus.
Murdoch or something, or
yeah. Roy Scheider's like, you shot Murdoch, and he was just like, he's here somewhere. I know he's here.
It's like, well, you just killed our friends.
So.
I thought it was really. Do you know they made a French Connection too?
Yeah. So 2014, right? It's like supposed to be the other half of it, like the French side of it.
Oh,
not 20. And what'd you say? 2014?
Yeah, 2014. I think it was.
No, 1975.
Wait, 1975?
Yeah.
What's it called?
French Connection 2.
Oh, I didn't. I did not know that.
Gene Hackman's in it.
He's the only. Yeah, he's the only one who's in it.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna have to watch this.
Oh yeah, he travels to
Marseille,
France to find that guy.
And the guy who plays Alain Charnier is the same actor too.
Oh my god, I did not know this.
Yeah.
I thought that
it's like different director, different writers, and Roy Scheider isn't in it. Probably busy making Jaws.
Probably, yeah. Also probably busy not wanting to be partners with the cop that shot someone that didn't care.
It's like, so he killed our friend. I'm gonna
myself
from you.
I did not know they made a sequel.
Yeah, I didn't either until I looked up like on the IMDb. And also, do you know what movie William Friedkin made after this?
No.
Directly after? The Exorcist.
That's pretty cool. What a
back-to-back.
Yeah, what a back-to-back is right.
And then he also did one of my favorite military movies also. Way later in 2000. Rules of Engagement. Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh.
I love that movie.
Oh, you know what? I watched The Fugitive this week, too.
Oh.
Well, The Fugitive is such a fucking fantastic
movie. What a movie
classic.
Right, I had a great movie week. I'm not going to lie. Oh, wait, maybe it was The Fugitive that the janitor from Scrubs is on. That might have been it.
It would make a lot more sense than the 1971 movie.
Yes, it does make a lot more sense. So, in 2014, The Connection came out as well. So this was a movie, and I don't think it has anything to do with any of the directors. There's definitely no actors that are the same in it. But it's a movie about the French half of what's going on with so I wonder if it has a connection to the French Connection too. I didn't know there was a sequel. A direct sequel.
Yeah, because it says he travels to France, so like he's
Gene Hackman.
Popeye Doyle is clearly still obsessed with this man. Just let it go.
All right, let's do thumbs. Let's do our thumbs for this movie. So, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. I'm giving it a high 70s, low 80s.
So I'm like low 70s.
Low 70s?
I'm like around 65.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
Tough critic.
I do truly love Gene Hackman. I love I think this is such a great movie. A great movie for him. Like this role, I thought it was great. It really. I mean, I don't think it started as like really kicked off his career. I think he was already pretty established by then, right? He had been in a bunch of movies.
I like how he barely wears his hat.
Yeah.
Like it's not on. Like if he were to run with that hat on, it would blow right away.
Yes. Yeah. He barely puts it down on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great cast. I love the chase scene at the end. So I give it a high. I give it a high 70s. I think right in there, 78.
He played Lex Luthor, right? At some point.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
A horse got involved.
Oh, they're the worst.
Like they always do.
They always do.
All right, so for next week we tease this, but we're gonna formally announce it. We're gonna start watching the Mummy movies. I'm so excited.
I can't wait.
We're gonna be watching the Mummy movies, starting with the Mummy. I gotta be honest. So I have Tomb of the Dragon Emperor on my server now, so they're all on there. We can all watch them on there. I started watching that one because it's the only one that I hadn't seen yet, but I had to stop because I was like, I gotta save it because I want to be fresh when we talk about it. So I'm gonna go in order. I'm not gonna jump around. We're gonna do the Mummy, then we'll do the Mummy Returns. Do we decide if we're doing Scorpion King or not?
We can slide it in there if you want.
We'll slide in Scorpion.
We'll see how it goes. Are we gonna do like a Brendan Fraser like prologue?
I have a feeling that we might like jump into other Brendan Fraser movies.
No, like before we start the Mummy, like I think we need to talk about Brendan Fraser.
I think you're absolutely right.
So should we try to bang out like 2 of these at a time? You know what I mean? Because like as much as I love the Mummy movies, I don't know if I want to be stretching them out over 2 months.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that's a smart move. Good thinking, Adam. I think we do the Mummy and the Mummy Returns for next week.
Okay.
Boom.
That makes sense? Okay. They're both on there. They're easy to watch. And then I think if anybody's watching along at home, I'm sure they're everywhere. I don't know if they're for free or not, but I'm sure it's not that expensive to rent the Mummy in 2020.
I looked it up like to stream. I think it's like $3.
Yeah.
On everything. $3 or $4.
The original Mummy is very, very good, so it's definitely worth $3.
I'm so excited to dive back in. But I think you're right, Ryan. I think we'll have a nice little retrospective on Brendan Fraser next week before we get into it. I think we talk about his rise and eventual like being blackballed by Hollywood. That's a nice
absolutely
right there.
I mean, he's a very interesting character.
Yes, for sure. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we sign off?
I don't believe so.
I think I'm good.
Awesome. Next week, The Mummy Returns. You can find us on youtube.com/TheAverageNobodies. I actually think that this video podcast worked flawlessly this time. So this might be the first one. So if you're not watching us, you're just listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go to YouTube, youtube.com/TheAverageNobodies. Again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, we're everywhere. The Average Nobodies podcast. And that's going to do it for this week, for June 11th, 2020. Talk to you guys.
See ya.
See ya.